Hey, what's a sauce lighter? Today we'll be finding out just how deep that chasm is between the best and worst in slot legendaries in Borderlands 3. From SMGs to artifacts, I'll be showcasing just how bad some legendaries can be, or if you're a glass half full kind of gal, how much more powerful the meta is. And let's crack into it. We open with assault rifles, and standing at the top of the hill is the Monarch, an absolute behemoth, firing 4 or 8 projectiles per shot, and when the bipod's pulled out, it'll double that, doubling its already high DPS, allowing you to mount through bosses. Excelling on a fadeaway flag, but its raw DPS and ability to come in all elements makes it well suited to every Vault Hunter. It's just glorious. What isn't glorious though is the Hand of Glory. Maybe the hand is missing some fingers, but this gun just simply cannot deal any damage. It's a non-elemental Jacob's weapon that fires in a 2-shot burst and is awarded halfway through the main story. When I received this for the first time, my day was immeasurable and my disappointment was ruined. Comparing these guns side by side, the Monarch absolutely shreds, with the bipod out dealing 4 times its damage with no delay in the absolute carnage it summons. Onto launches, and it's a similar story. The backburner fires large spherical orbs at an automatic pace that unleash a pounding of MIRV grenades on impact. The MIRV grenades deal the bulk of its damage, and each Vault Hunter can use this bossing beast to great potential. The Quatomizer on the other hand looks like it should deal some damage, but it never does. That's especially disappointing when you consider it fires the breath from the Rampager, one of the game's more spectacular boss fights. It fires 4 projectiles that switch between radiation, corrosive and fire elements, but regardless of the element, the damage went missing a long time ago. Comparing these guns, the Quatomizer is all bark with no bite. It struggles to keep up with the fire rate of the backburner, let alone its damage. To shields now, and thanks to Season Pass 2, there was always going to be a massive rift in these 2 items. For best in slot, it's hard to look past the Revolter, a shield even more powerful than Borderlands 2's B, where you can simply activate an action shield to be granted 200% bonus shock damage and gain 50% fire rate. Comparing this to the best shield pre-Season Pass 2 would still have been night and day, but comparing it to the Rectifier, we're speaking German trying to order pasta from a Chinese takeaway shop on Mars. While the Rectifier is depleted, it constantly deals shock damage to nearby enemies, and it has a large recharge delay to allow that effect to happen. However, that effect barely happens, as it hardly tickles enemies. That damage doesn't scale with Mayhem levels, not that it was ever powerful before, and when you put it side by side with the Revolter, it's clear to see which shield is best to choose when you're wanting to add shock damage to your build. The best pistol in the game has to be the Free Radical, the pinnacle of the melee wand blasters that deals an incredible amount of splash damage with secondary projectiles circling around for another hit. It's also incredibly easy to get, making it a fantastic weapon to acquire and instantly dominate with. At the other end of the spectrum, Killer 6 can breathe easy because I went with the Girth Blaster Elite. This gun embodies the nothing part of nerf or nothing, firing foam bullets that struggle to deal any damage. I mean, that is expected though, it is a toy gun, and it just can't compete with the devastation the Free Radical conjures up. To grenade mods, and it was clear who took the throne. It's a fish, and it slaps. Yes, it's the fish slap. Because it deals melee damage, you're able to boost this thing to phenomenal heights, something that all other grenade mods fail to do. When built around, it can comfortably drop bosses with one whip of its tail, and if you don't build around it, it's still incredibly strong. The worst grenade mod was hard to choose, they all do their job pretty well, so I asked you guys and we landed on the Ultra Ball. This grenade mod has what you hate to see, an incredible ability to down you, and a complete lack of damage towards enemies. On impact, it'll split into 6 bouncing child grenades that'll keep bouncing until they blow you up. It deals enough damage at a high enough radius to down you, but barely harm anything else. The fishlight bounces around too, but at least it defeats your enemies. All the Ultra Ball has going for it is those pretty colours. To shotguns now, and I have to put the Hellwalker at the top. It's a flaming double-barreled shotgun that fires incendiary rounds in the shape of a pentagram, and also plays heavy metal music. That would have got it there in my eyes regardless, but it has the damage to match. Critical hits will have you blazing a path through all mobbing arenas, and that's easy to achieve on a fadeaway flak. The Creeping Death on the other hand seems to take some inspiration in name, but not in damage. It's a corrosive only TDR weapon that shoots balls that stick to surfaces or bounce off enemies. Now if I had to guess, this gun has something to do with the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. It clearly fires slime, and I guess that's why it does no damage. On the other side, the Hellwalker is clearly sponsored by Doom Guy, and that's why it does do damage. I never thought that weapons in Borderlands would be sponsored, but the evidence here is plain to see. On to class mods, and this is pretty subjective, but for the best, I went for Moze and her Minesweeper, because it's not based on a skill, and you don't need any gear to make it work. In itself, I see it as number one, but hey, that's just my opinion. What makes it so good is that every critical hit has a chance to spawn a micro grenade. They deal damage in the elemental type that triggered them and scale off splash and grenade damage, allowing Moze to apply her mini splash damage focused skills onto any gun thanks to this class mod. It also ups the splash damage potential of guns that already deal splash damage. For the worst class mod, there were quite a few to choose from, particularly with Zane, so I had to go with one of his, and I went with the Shocker Raider. This thing provides you the binary system augment for free, causing cryonovas to erupt anytime you swap places. And whenever your clone receives melee damage, it'll release a shock nova. There's not much more to it than that. It also comes with pretty mediocre skills, and the novas are rarely triggered and aren't even that strong. Comparing it to the Minesweeper, on one hand you have something that completely changes the way you can build, and on the other you get an augment that you wouldn't really want anyway. I know what one I would pick. To sniper rifles, and there was a bit of a battle for worst. The number one spot, however, was taken pretty easily by the Sandhawk, returning from Borderlands 2, but this time as a sniper rifle as opposed to an SMG, and dealing even more damage. It fires 7 projectiles at a rapid rate that just rip through health bars, and also deals splash damage, although it can't come with splash annoyance. It's a weapon made for bossing, unlike the worst sniper rifle, which is made for nothing. Beating out the Malik's Bane to take bottom spot is the Binary Operator, a weapon that either one-shots your target or deals single digits worth of damage. When the Malik's Bane will eventually defeat Graveward, this thing never can. When comparing it to the Sandhawk, it doesn't come close at all. A lot of sniper rifles are a struggle in this game, and the Binary Operator really epitomizes that. To artifacts, and the best one for a simple increase in damage has to be the Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge. It grants a stacking weapon damage bonus of 1% up to the first 15 stacks, and when reaching max stacks you get a bonus 90% on top of that. At the end of the day, it grants over 100% weapon damage, and all you have to do is shoot something. You're doing that anyway, so it really is a no-brainer. On the flip side of that is the Loaded Dice, an artifact loaded with lies. On the card it says substantially increases your luck, but guys, there's no luck in Borderlands 3, this artifact does nothing. Wait, I should rephrase, it does nothing good. It reduces your max health by 75%, and you will restore some of that upon killing an enemy. Whether Pearl is an artifact that every player should have access to, the Loaded Dice is one you should actively avoid. The Auto Idol does its heal effect better, and the Deathless artifact caps your health, but also increases your shield. We end with SMGs, and taking top spot for the good guys is the Plasma Coil, a weapon that unleashes a devastating volley of 16 splash damage projectiles that'll tear through anything they touch. One burst is more powerful than many sniper rifles in the game, And you don't need to worry about ammo. There was a lot of competition for worst, but I was swayed by the biggest fall from grace, and that came from the Crossroad. Look how Gearbox massacred my boy. This gun used to be comfortably top 3 SMGs in the game, but now I can't even look it in the barrel anymore. Gearbox snuck into its carry bag while it was sleeping, stole one of its pellets, roughed it up a little so it no longer fired straight, and never apologized. That was 5 years ago, and I think we're overdue. Comparing these weapons side by side, and it's simply not fair. The Crossroad needs to come back in Borderlands 4. I'm just crossing my fingers for the greatest redemption arc in the history of modern gaming.